I've been working on a follow-up video to my earlier puck prep video, but had a brief conversation with some friends about the phenomena I was experiencing regarding shot time. We were having opposite experiences with their shots flowing faster and mine flowing slower, and this led me to ask why. All of the other people involved were using weight-calibrated tampers, and it started to look like bias might be leading me astray. I practiced to be more consistent with my tamping pressure and made sure that I was also tamping to full compaction with each method. In the end, I found that shot times and shot quality have very little variance regardless of puck preparation in the flow regimes that I prefer. I made a series of shots using a normal enthusiast prep of just Weiss distribution technique, also known as WDT, a prep method you could only call awful, where I palm tapped and scooped a divot into the center of the coffee, and a more complete prep using WDT and a cactus tool. I brewed about 10 shots with each method, using each grinder, and saw about the same amount of variance you'll see in this video. I find it really interesting to think that if these shots weren't labeled or indicated in some way, it would be very hard to tell what shot came from what prep method or grinder if we were only considering the visuals. Perhaps someone with enough time and patience could pick this apart and tell me that this or that was caused by the prep method or prep quality used, but I think they'd be suffering the same bias that I was when I started making this video. For reference, the first 3 shots were done with my Cafetech Flatmax with an SSP Casper. Later in this video, you'll see shots from my Lagom P64 with SSP and P-burrs, and later they'll be presented side by side so you can see just how similar they are. Perhaps more interesting to people that haven't tried this would be that I sipped and spat every one of these shots. I did not take the time to measure extraction, but I was extremely surprised by the quality of every shot in the series. I'm sure that some less forgiving coffees would not have been as pleasant with the worst prep shown here, but the coffee I was brewing tasted very similar throughout the full series. I could make some comments about the best perceived acidity level coming from the complete prep method, but without a proper blind test, I think it's fair to say that this would fall inside my tasting error. All of this might lead you to a question. What does my prep look like moving forward? Well, the amount of time and effort it takes to do a complete prep is quite low, so I do a complete prep for every shot I make. My personal opinion is that it almost certainly isn't necessary for the 2 grinders tested here, so long as I use the Ross droplet technique to help avoid clumping, but I enjoy the process and find it appealing to continue. I would strongly recommend using a more complete prep with grinders or coffees that tend to clump, and think that these techniques may be more useful if you insist on being at the finest end of the espresso spectrum.